I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, the teaching, and the spiritual community. By the merit of sharing the teachings, may I achieve Buddhahood in order to help all living beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, the teaching, and the spiritual community. By the merit of sharing the teachings, may I achieve Buddhahood in order to help all living beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, the teaching, and the spiritual community. By the merit of transcendental teachings, may I achieve Buddhahood in order to help all living beings. Oh, not better. No, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Then George Panda Adishouse on the road. Because Rangi talk better to me. Ganshi Shandy to me, the Yanda Sabakuna, the Kibut in the Choi, no. Oh, she's on better. Kibut drink the capsule. Ranko to me, Narola. Meseba. Young Nesongi to me. Kibuchumi capsule, Rani Nesongi to me, Taro de Batsam. My ember. And then Sadam me, Kiwaya. Tungaji Ranshi sent to Tonde, Ladanyum Beshawa to Jurbe, and it Jawa condition now going to Tungaji Ranshi sent to Tondes. Telene, Javar Debe, Lochinsimalo Bakiwa Tarisera, and this Rani, Toma Mevana Tate Bada, Tada and Bezumazena, Maobana, Tameva, Tungi, Noe, Badi, Sohadi, Shisone, Tedanga, Rangi Pamar Gubada. Randandawa Tevandula Tungamen de Bessinja Shanamja, Tungateta Naro in Betadaja, Ranchibu Tungele Tarama in Betadaja, Tungele Chineja Tarvasha, the Yeshe to Teta Chen Nube, Sanji Kovan Tobarsha, Nambe, Kibuchimbo, Tetabu Kansati, Kibuchimbo, or Tetabu, Kibuchimbo Semkene, and a train Yambe, Kumu set of December shoes.
I had a call. So today's verse from the Atisha's lamp for the path to enlightenment. Those is the final verse here about the person of great capacity, where it says, Belden, yeah, good. Those persons are called superior, who sincerely want to extinguish all the sufferings of others by understanding their own suffering. So, at the point of the person at the initial level, known as the person of small capacity, then you're understanding that the suffering of cyclic, the suffering of the lower realms, and you're seeking and not wanting to experience that suffering. You're seeking a rebirth in as a human or a deity, which is then, what do you say, relatively a happy rebirth. So then, when you understand that that's not free of suffering, and once you're under the influence of mental afflictions and karma, then you reach the initial level when you're trying to completely free yourself from all suffering. And then at the final level, then the advanced level of the we'll call it superior person here, then it's you understand that just like yourself, others also suffer, and so then you're seeking to extinguish the suffering of all living beings. So then thinking over these three levels, then you motivate yourself to listen to the teachings with the wish to liberate all living beings from suffering. Tadrisa.
Oh yeah. 당연히 솔로 간디는 봐. 자주 자고 된 봐. 자주 자고 돼.
Good. So we're on verse 88 here in Genna's book. It's 89.
뭐야? 단디 가르쳐도 쓰는 데도 가서래. 원시기 통화라서도 원배셰바게 소다 그래서 통화라서라. 얘네 양라지 단신고 저거라 가지. 양로 양라지 단신고 말에. 당분간서 뒤지하고는 약분지래. 강바도 전에 강배 고다 개공단 직받아 디 잘라르르르네 양라로 와. 양라시에서도 강바들어 와.
네.
어야. 당연히 전에 남바전에 양라다 양라시에 제타데 말에. 양라를 로스 양라시에서 말에. 양라데 레레레레 딜레 로스 롱디도 강가 양라는데 양라시에서 로가 무슨 그 소소소 통해요 말에. 가르쳐 양라시를 따지더니 양라시에 통시 샤우라. 제타데 요 말에. 양라를 제타데 양라시에 요 말에. 거기 양라를 제타데 양라시 단신 생기도 그래. 양라를 제타데 그래. 두ten데 무슨 두ten가 요나 두ten가도 양라로 와. 또 양라시에서도 대조 마도 매나니 두ten마도 요 말에 섬겨라. 딜레베 로가 수지도 그래 섬겨라. 제 로가 지고 그래. 디 양라시 단신식이라. 양라시 단신시면은 양라르르르르네 원식이 통투고 말에 쓰거라. 수디 통투마 어디 바꿔거라.
Tamate Wangshe de
양라레 제타데베 양라제면은 아니 원식이 양라제인데 통투고 말에 쓰거라.
They consider that doing Shen Gogi do that Wangshe.
동시에면은 아니 레레레레 와디레. 제레레레 와디. 디 원식 통고요 말에 당분에 통고요 말아.
네.
제만 통해 매버려 그래서거라.
네.
저 현대 사바실 레버려서거라.
네.
나중에 사발레 그거 말 콘주로 시에도 되러. 저 제시 말에 콘주전에 제시 거래서.
So just to clarify about this idea of the parts and the whole, in the viewpoint of the from the Buddhist viewpoint, then you have a house and it's got all its various parts, the everything that's included in the house, like the windows, the walls, the roof, the roofing shingle, and so forth. These all are the parts, and then the whole is not anything different from the parts. Just by seeing the parts, we understand the whole. There's no substantially different whole, but for the opponent here, Vaisheshika, you can say, and it's very different. If you have a group of, like with your fingers, of 5 atoms, when those 5 atoms are together, in order to perceive them, you can't perceive the atoms, so in order to perceive them, there has to be something separate from that group of atoms that is substantially different, and that's the whole. These are the parts, and then the whole is substantially different. So otherwise, you wouldn't be able to perceive that grouping of atoms, and so there's a big difference here in how they perceive the whole.
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. I just see what you said and Drebam should do. You said and Drebam say. The son was Chidar now said, Diana said, Tension cookie Nesura. You should say to 30,000 Nasigora. During Jamaica, Mambuch Soba 30,000. You said and Drebam, you're not talking. Kingo Shang to Chun Mambudoa. What does the Kanga do? Shasana? Mambudan, Shebudan, Kabudama, Mambu. Oh, there's only one she could cheat down the Menata Sigura. Tongi Maris, Columbia Tangura. Yana Shem maybe a Sigura. You just said and Dreban, Tosulas with Chidernase. And the one she let Chidana the Menata. To take the Shembe, Jay Shembe, Yala Chen, then Shench maybe it's what a number.
So, on this page 276, where we're beginning with the extreme, well, we're just this verse 88, the commentary below says, how, it also follows, could Mercury appear to a sense cognition as mixed with gold or a stone, etc., appear painted? It is unacceptable that they could, because they are objectively separate wholes, and because they are collections of inharmonious types of atoms. So you couldn't see something that's mixed, or because it would just be what do you say, objectively separate, two objectively separate wholes, and so you couldn't see this mixture. Is the idea, or putting together many different stones, where you're painting all the different stones. Then you couldn't see that as what do you say, one whole. You'd have to have these separate wholes of the paint and the stone.
That didn't do. Do you ring me to talk bases? Courtesy was do you ring me to the Tosona, Yalachi, some Yoma Resigora? Written but the Ruru Chesona, Yalachi, or the Tension Resigora. Sayatu, Mambuji Tosona, and the Yalachi, your Resigora, United Tension Resigora. Tango, Sebo, Cabo, Mabo, Tadan, Palan, Mida, Tende Tosona. Do you ring me to Batsoba Resura? Madame Sorva. Tell Yalachi, Yoma Resi, ring me to the Zomishes. Do you ring me to Batu Sosona, Yalachi, and Soba Zanguma Resigora? Written but the Sosona, Zambiri that Yalachi, Yala Tension Baresigora. Setanda said, I'm going to shoot on the do you ring me to Roa? Little Sola so what turned down to the Ganga. Rimitin Barwa. That is a source on any metal Sigura. Young agent and Shame Bases. Do you ring meeting so? Do you ring meeting bases? Rimitin at them did have did the reduction and the Kagaka Abura. Do you ring meeting so bases?
That's it. It's a figure.
What was it? Call about Tangura. Do you ring me to so what a cholera? You know, could ring me to Sona and Yalachi, some Messigora. Reduce also not some Yorisora. Sadig Ruchan and Bumba switch that's why Yorisora. Dada Palanda, Shingdan, Josidan, to get it to Sobatsameke, your mother, sources of Kagateri. Then Bassias Yoris, Kanga, the Kangatinale, Josidan, Tisu Kanga, Dansha says your mother. Sopachin, Chisam, your mother. They're saying that this would only be reasonable if the
based on this, here it says, if we read on, then based on this text, it is unreasonable to assert that when iron, well, basically what they're talking about here is that when you bring together things that are of the same type, like the atoms of Earth, okay, or particles of Earth all brought together, then you can conceive of the whole being, something perceptible. But then when you get all these different things like humans and oxen and chairs and what do you say, rugs and cows and so forth, all together, then you couldn't see them as a group, because they'd be all these individual, very individual components to a collection. You couldn't see the collection. You couldn't perceive the collection.
This one. That did it. Soon dilatene, Jago Mambo, give us a mecha zeta de Duba Meriti, Dinitzi reason. Garanzo and Lucy Yora. And they soon dilatene cha or cha. Cha de Melatan Mabu Chagra. The Jago Mambo take up a cha or a mayor. The cha and many to do Zesi race. Cha and many Zesi what is to do. 지난 자다 메시네 카가로와 이 자나 부치요 장무서 데메다는 카가라 다 자디 메다다는 자 마부쳐도 되게 책이라 신다가 그 책이라 어디도 메다 자 제식버리 모식버리 해서 그래 장루라 뒤질라나.
So that's this idea, because they are collections of inharmonious types of atoms. That was the explanation of that phrase. But then now we're going on to this top of page 277, where based on this text, it is unreasonable to assert that when iron is molten red, the fire and the iron are substantially different. Okay, in the Buddhist system, the fire and the iron are substantially the same. Of course, iron and fire, when you have a cold piece of iron and a fire burning next to it, are substantially different. But when you put the iron in the fire and it becomes, when you fire up the iron, it becomes melted. What do they call that? I forget. But melted iron, anyway, molten iron. Then molten iron it can burn you. So the fire and the iron are mixed. But it says here, they, if they were substantially different, then
This one.
Oh,
also so nimi nam set. So thing sing also so nimi nam. Talk about the chidering sigdo. Di ka sugresana. Da call it yora. Me wan she making su she. Rawa. And dagin me wan she making su she. Tematagin su yel shendu she can some cigar. Miki number shiva kevala can some sangura. So can somebody so re big number shiva kig marwa. Su chibuina mewa man kig marwa. Mewa yuna su man sunzi mishiki marwa. Mewa da sunzi mishinga in a su yel shandu shiba mana. Till tagmari kig marwa. So can some sobala ten sigora. And make a number shiva, make you a tasigora. Kigmaris Kiranchana sigora. Garesne, re get to Meduas. sumga chona ma do chi ke to marwa sumga chona yangla chi tan shen me be che se wara ko yangla chi tan shen me na la ga che to marwa re ya ga chi la ga che to mare mi shi ke to mare te ne da sumga chona mi shi ke me do da re mi shi ke me do ka shi yangla chi tan shen me be che ko na sumbu de ma do shen da su saba tu yo marwa
soba saba tu yo
marwa 원소 소소 내면나 똑바다니 지들이 인식도 원소 소소 레레레 쟤는 미그 넘버 쉐기 네버요 말와셔라 다숨 초나야 에네 수 똑바 넘버 쉐바다 지들기데 메겨 타시고라 양라진 속바 메베셔 소소소 게도 말에 사바지 속바 사바 두요 말와 뭐 게시도 안 된된 제바들로네 코디 지리도 샤야 원소 겐숨기 수 똑바 제부 투모와 지더럽게 매겨월 타셔라. 되나 맞춰 백업서 소소 이렇게 내방에 가시 양라제 대신 초전 양라제 대신 매배시도.
So just to finish the idea of the fire and the iron is because they're substantially different, then it is the case as proven in the Pramanavarttika that those two are substantially identical, and Dharma extensively explained in his commentary that the case that the painted stone and the mercury and the gold, and that the am I talking loud enough, Diane?
I can't hear you at all.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I think when I start reading, so then the commentary that the case of the painted stone and the mercury gold and that of molten gold are quite dissimilar. Molten iron, are quite dissimilar. So now, just to go on to the next paragraph here, how it follows alternatively could the meeting of the three conditions, okay, this is the three conditions of a sense consciousness, sense faculty, and the object condition in the cognition. They call it the cognition, and the immediately preceding cognition. The immediately preceding condition generate even a common result. How could they come together? It is unacceptable that they could, because they are unable to generate cognitions individually when they have not met. And even when they do meet, there is no objectively separate whole. So the problem of not having what do you say? A collection, they can't come together, so each one of these conditions can't individually produce a visual consciousness. If you just the object, if just the object alone can't, and the sense faculty can't alone without an object, and so then how are they going to produce a visual consciousness or a perception, or if they can't come together, and so then
denle shena se zao yora denle shena se de wa denle shena se ko len ja yora o ti tu remi tu chokba yana yana che ten sha yo ma res damba sing ji yo re shara damba ten sha se damba yo ba se ra de kang ba ten chok se yo re de mi yo re kang ge yo ra nga tu su su chen yana che sam yo ma res wo re damba kang ba tin mi da chok je da parda te medo kanga demba rese demba tension si ore se ora demba tension de ke so ore se ora yana se tension yo ma rese ora san dele se na se o kondo 속벌을 때에 양아지 동생 점에 요마를 림이 좀 바래 예스거라. 이나 건조초는 덴바 동생 지기를 예스거라. 덴바 동생 되게 이니 미시기 속을 예스거라. 덴레 셴나세. 이니 kinsum 체벤 덴발레 원시 교시나 kinsum 겐 덴바 게바 양 밑에 버다. 다 kinsum 되게 덴바 게바 되게 되게 말했으거라. 가르 데테 총세 kinsum 레레레레 덴바 게면 도와시거라. kinsum 레레레레 덴바 게 도움에 와시거라. 아니 레레레레 덴바 게 뭐도 숨가초나 덴바 게 말데 수사바 양아시 동생이 두에 와시거라. 어딜에 지금 걔나 그냥 성분적으로 해서거라.
The opponent then comes back with the idea, okay, that they can't be assembled in a collection because they're because that would be a collection of inharmonious types of atoms, but inharmonious types of atoms, but then so then the opponent comes back with the idea of sense cognition can't arise from that collection, but because they can't arise from the conjunction among the three conditions when they meet. This idea of conjunction, that one is in the Tibetan, literally, it just is dependent. They're dependent upon each other. So just that's enough for them to produce. What do you say? To produce a sense cognition. But it follows. Then the Buddhist rejoinder is: it follows that it is also that it also is unacceptable that the three conditions generate the conjunction, because although you assert here the generation of the conjunction, the consequences are the same whether the three conditions meet or do not meet. It's that they're it's still whether you say it's a conjunction or a collection, it's still if there's no what do you say, if they can't form a whole, then they're unable to generate on their, what do you say, individually.
Yeah.
Oh, did because
don't do that. Get this set on mutually, then be now in us to do that. That didn't dash you that. So look up to the second time I need it. You check the house one.
Group to
No, you check the
check the then because they catch it down by the
yeah. Get this set on mutually, then be now in us to check the house one. Oh, yeah, don't you say? That they said on mutual to ring me to talk about race. Oh, did and then but the Yana said that's some good and then but don't say or take an angry and asgora. Get this set on mutual and then be now in us. That will park up Chigora. Get this set on mutual, Drave and Dene, Yana Chen, Mega Yana Chen, don't say you're my race dog. Do you ring me to a tab and Demba won't shell now, you know, she knows it. Couldn't deba the Labgadua. Or they check the couldn't deba the Labgador, in a deeper law and Dr. Hakuda. They would in a cacquachete in the Labgada.
So then the opponent is coming up with a different rejoinder, and on the top of page 278. In the case of the mixture of gold and mercury, although there is no whole, the conjunction appears to sense cognition when inharmonious types of atoms meet.
시간 당부들아.
네.
땡통 매버 간래 또 시거라. 단디 가르시고라시나. 땡세 두텐들 시거라. 땡 두텐시 땡바시도 두텐 속버지 시거라. 그래서 땡 두텐 두테로 레레와도 통금에나 시거라. 아니 그 속버지 양라제 변신이나 덴바 변신이나 양라제 속버지 간데스 통금마레 시거라. 그래서 땡통 매버 간래 또세 덴바 두텐 체바 간래자 원시기 원소 또바 미시버타세 덴바 두텐 체바데 원시기 양 덴바함 체바데 원시기 또그마 레시거라 가르스네 땡 두텐데 통하메 베시거라 두텐데 통토요 마라 원시데데 통고요 마라
네.
아다 델 템베 템바 속바데 통시거라 자 두텐데 마토나 아니 템바 속바데 통해요 마레시거라 가르스나 어디서 단디서 딜람네 디오디안 랍초라 자와디체 디네 디버드
No.
라그도에
So then if we read on the Buddhist rejoinder to this, then how could sense cognition directly cognize a meeting of what is based on atoms? The meeting here, whether you call it a collection or a conjunction or however you call it, it follows that it is impossible that it could, because it does not see the atoms that are the basis, the basis of whatever you want to call it, conjunction or collection or so forth. This well refutes those who say that sense cognition does not see atoms but sees collections of atoms.
This way. Dan dini sigdo taran dirane aboda. Dini onse je tuten meton tuten sabwa thong sheba mawata lebar kakwa ino sigora. Tenton mebar kanle to seyage digi kare hako tukdo sena. Onse dezoge tuten di matona tuten chokba de tongi ma rese. Tuten meton tuten chokba thong seyade kagi o rese sigora. Did you love that?
So the idea is that if you have if you can't see the basis of the what do you say, of the collection, then how are you going to be able to see the collection? That's and so yeah. So it whatever system. It's whoever says that you can't see the atoms, then the collection is also imperceptible.
Ditos kala kabu yore, kala kabu, tamurisi. Ngaran supenda, bedi chagdoa, Diana doa pige, Diana takanga rede ngaze tongu marwa pige doa, kanga rede chigma doa, madani tongu mara. Tandine bata duza ta nabu tongu doa. Tidi takanga de tonde yore sigore. Ta chogwa dele ngeshe chang togure. Ta rede dele ngeshe chang togu mare sigore. Tonde yore sigore.
You say re tong de.
Tong yore de. Never tanto o de tashi doa de yon togu mara. Tong de ngazu sing de tongu pige do tongu doa. Loma tonde yore. Loma rede ne ngeshe chang togu mara. Loma ma tong pige yebe den zozo tonge yongu mara. Loma do tonde yore. Ina sheng dong de do sam chenpo de ngeshe chang gir ma do. Dito loma de do sam ngeshe chang togu ma doa. O di na she chokba de tong do sa chokba chen de tong de yore se tuten. Mambo cho de na tuten do tong se yore se gora. Ta kang ji ta rung bu ne ta na kang ji de na tong ma re sha ra. Kong zu ru che su na tong do a se gora. Nang yore de ne ngeshe chang togu ma re. Ta ti kang ji do de kang ji do. Tende togu ma re se gora. O di she yore.
Oh, in our system then, in the Buddhist system, well, for example, Diana is sitting at the back of the room here, and we can see that her hair, she has, what do you say? She's, got, what do you say? white hair or what,
No.
brown hair, then you can just, but you can't. You can see the collection, and yeah, but you can't. But we have to say that you know what we can. Yeshe means what you can have certain knowledge of is of the collection of the different hair follicles together. What do we call hair follicles? Or just different pieces of hair collected together. But we say that you see the different pieces of hair, but you don't generate an ascertainment of them. Means that you don't have a certain knowledge of each little hair on a head, but still you see it, and with the same for like a tree. What we're perceiving is this kind of well, it's a mass of leaves, right, and branches and a trunk and so forth, but all those individual leaves, we can't ascertain each one, but still we say we see the leaves. Okay, that you're seeing the leaves, but you just can't draw a certain knowledge of each individual leaf. You see it as a whole.
Rusula son temper gases the way.
Oh, do.
No, yeah, that didn't the shake with that. Saying me to not so sure at no answer with that. Saying me to Shingo Disney, Drum in the Sabotan, Mabotan, Bukanga, so tradition the station, Drum in the Yungura, Drum in the Teshara, or the Tomatis or a Tomatis or a. Say, Rimi to not so sure at no answer. Omada, and a chinita, and a caricature, Dicasa, Nimbuta, the station. Ready to mega Romedasiora. Kanganyam do ten at only Romedas Sorgatua. Oh, this is Rusulas on Denver gas. Say, ring me to Nazo with no idea to Chasonasora. And Roshin Badam, Machine Badam, Romeda, Tiraminoata as a chicken Yungira. Yungi, you're not really you were Roda Mendra, Rosabachi, Sosan, Sabachi Yungu to Asagari. Take Sobachi, you are Resora. Oh, this one. Say, ring me to Nazo Chara, Tomas, Roshin Badam, Susan, Cado in Medra, Mabutella. Last of you and then and Denver, Gawata, I say. Then Denver, she announced to send me, or till Roshin by the mission by some Mabutesona, Roman Drava, the Cado Medrava, Guru at the Metava Asibora. Can I send you and then to send maybe a or the Yoma Resora? Said to send you Yoma Resora.
Send the road, because a rose sabbage.
Oh, Rosaba, Mabutena, Rosava, the Cado. Mendra Mambungura, or Dimio Tasura, Rere Demado, Telia Yanaji Tanshendi maybe or Session, but she's our Maris. Then Dembe, she Yanaji Tanshen maybe or Dibadura, Dine Dibadura, and this out the Yungira. Dinam do treasure, Gira come.
Niam to you.
Dinner in the Kagakado, and it did.
How go you did it? Yigi Chambo. So it follows that it is contradictory that drinks made of various inharmonious types of substances just a mixture of all different. What do you have? Milk and milk and fruit juice and different colors and tastes all mixed together. So it follows that it is contradictory that drinks made of various inharmonious types of substance possess such qualities as sweet taste, good color, and so forth, because there is no objectively separate whole that is the basis of their possessing such qualities. So usually when you mix various ingredients together in a drink, say, you're going to come up with a unique flavor. But because there's no, objectively separate whole that is formed, then you wouldn't be able to, there isn't anything there to possess the qualities of good color and sweet taste and so forth.
Ene yalan chen tunshen tsambu mares larwa. Rimi tuna tsomi chersko. Rik tumba ina yalan chen tsambu rite tunshen res yara. Rimi tumba tu sosuna yalan chen yo mares yaswa. This way telikyan tangi wara. Koa dhamidra, kato dhamidra, kanga triti zani rimi tumba tsora. Di ina ane tsokwa chitugu mene roshin bata, meshin bata, riri maige, rosaba saba nyungu meduwa, kato medra chagu meduwa, ti ka resi wara.
So it's the idea of the opponent here is that if you mix inharmonious types of things, then you're not going to. Then there's no separate whole, and so then this is a way of refuting that idea that. It's, for instance, if you're mixing different things of different color or in your drink and different, different tastes and all that, you wouldn't come up with some kind of a separate color or a separate taste, or that is a blending of all those, ingredients.
Da kete nyerta len dona se zawarasme. Kete nyerta bolen dona ene de lota tebar juse. Kete nyerta len dona lota tebar juse duge. Zawarasme.
Rasa.
Oh, di rasa. Da kete nyerta le kete nyerta bolen dona se dira. Di tunda se gora. Da kutsu len jagorda. Kajik su len jagore. Oh, di kete Yana chen tunshen yo ma re se tanda tunga tele sigara. Chen ramida, ko ramida, kadon ramida tera. O dilia kede yana chen tunshen yo ma re se tu rimiti sondarwa. Yina yana ki ro, yana re ro to zulia. Ene pa ta ne o ro shimbudu yursha kadon menda re se samdi wa re se soge. Yina di re ro te ma do ro shenda sawa ke yo ma re se gora. Mingi takwa samre yana de soge. Tohadelia Medando Siche Tagwa Samre Eswara. Kado Meda Yana Kado Tezola Surus Medacha Shase. Tagwa Samre Mato. Yana Chetense Yoma Resivara. Getting Yerda Le. Getting your Tagwal and Donas, that could devoted into getting Yana Chetense Mejan Yana Giro. Su nila nyawara takbale tuwa shimo shebala sobe tanya dedo shinas. O shimbudu kato nyusha taginda medan du samdi ware so takba samde shara. O ti lamnas ko su labedi labdi wada. Ani pa labedi wadi ngura. Dichi labda.
So the opponent then in the middle of page 278 is saying, even if there's no objectively separate whole, okay, which is what we assert, then we assert that it is through imputation on the color, on the taste and color parts that we designate there is a sweet tasting drink or a unique color. So they're saying that it's just that it's through conceptual imputation that then we understand some kind of taste, or what do you say, unique taste from the blend of different flavors, or unique color from the blend of different colors. That this is merely, we designate it as, say, a sweet tasting drink, or a tasty looking combination, or whatever.
Tagi madrivisha shabe rotan kato tetan tsute nanda chikpa dagin dina shimbato kena saba chuma songa sigawara. Tunga tela ya ngarje rangi timu mayimbe ro sula sokwa madribara nawe lo tadebara kiawara njurgese. Nimbuki choade nimbuki choanyo, chini choade chini choanyo, omade omanyo, tade tada nyomado, nyamdo tene ro saba chishiki nyoya yomaro asigawara. Naga tasigawara. Soso kiawara timudo charwa le chunwe rosu soji lo ke mesibarta. Nyamdo tede tane ro tan su saba nyowa ke chema kia yomare sara sheba. Mikiwarta asigawara. Mikiwarta. Yana soso mandebe yana ge rosa, yana chen yo mare, yana chen so mandribe, didn't dog yo mandribe, yana ge rosula, rosimba so tawasan in becher. Can I mean tawasan in a tata mandribe cupke, ronya etida, Suzutesha duci tuna, ronya edele cavamever do this. Minta was a revasor. Tineke musum to Yungras, Hakura, Yogusa, Musum than gave you
So the Buddhist refutation then of that approach using imputation is as follows. It follows then. It follows that when the individual tastes and colors are not mixed into the drink, there will be the arising of different appearing minds. But it is impossible that there arise a cognition of taste and color originating from their mixture, because the imputation that the taste or form is sweet tasting, etc., is merely made when the taste and color parts are not mixed into the whole. So even they're saying that when you mix it together, you're not there isn't some kind of separate whole that is experienced, but then if you say it's just an imputation, then you could have the ingredients, all set out separately, and you wouldn't have to mix them together. You would just be able to experience the the sweet tastingness, or the different color, or the pleasant color, or whatever, just by seeing perceiving them set out separately, because all you're doing is then imputing some kind of a sweet taste to it and so forth. But the way this refutation or rejection is phrased is really just saying, well, come on, we have direct perception. We know in our own experience that this is the way, when you mix something together and you taste it, you're going to you experience a different flavor or a different color or whatever.
No. Tandira Tagbatan in Betches to Bodora. Tandi Chikbaro order, Tanda to the Chikbaro Kevamara. Debachiga. Yana Sigora, Dindes Lamna Digda. Omala Soba, Soso Tonga, Romeo, Loleta, Omada, and each Chinica sent out in the Treven Sigora. Omala Soba, Soso Tonga, rotated Tadeva Loso, and it's Tadeva, Lamdo Tebaina, and it's not so Charvatua. La Roshan no Metebada. So Tonga Nyamdo Teba de Tresuna, Namada Meda Roshan no Metebata. Yanala Roshim, she so Tagbatam Segi, Yala Changi Rome Behesora, Tani Rostimato, Rosaba Mebehesora. Mutiloshan Dandigo.
Alternatively, it follows that it is unacceptable that in a drink made of various substances, one experience another taste different from the mentally experienced taste of the particular components, particular drinks that comprise the mixture, such as milk and so forth, because one merely imputes that a part's taste is, quote, sweet tasting, not that the whole's taste is. You'd just be imputing, something about a part, not you couldn't know what the putting together of the parts would result in. No. No, dear.
Oh, did that date on the show. Chidder, Tangmarimbu, Medogi, Tangmarimbu, stay on Gumara. Chidder, Tangrin Shazer, use Carsuration, Medo Sebo, Mombo, Marble, Soba, Rede, Chamasudo, Medo Chama, Delconet in the Soda. Oh, in this was on the Soda. Chidder, Medo Gatamba, Sardonga, and Dom and Damanda, says a towering bush, as on Nasigora, and a towering bush, Minjota, Medo, towering bush. Minjora Tasigora. Garesana, Tela Yana Gentian Mess, Medo, Mato, Yana Rusana, Tension Yomarca, Rimetumber, Medo, Cadom and Medaro. Tela Yana Gentian Me, Damba Jansen, Damba the Euro could Rimetumber and Damba Yosera, Yamdo talk about Yosegora. Some Damba Yundana, Yundaniba Medembich, Yanko, Yundana says, she did Sigora. Yondan to tell them by Yondan to Sigora. Yondan Subatea Gomar Consulos. Yondan you made a Sigora.
Yondan.
Zeta Yondan Pananga.
Oh, Zeta, Yondan.
Temptation, Deputy Zerva. Oh, Dep Chambosana, Yondera. Dep Chungusin, Yabusin, Yondera.
The Geshe and Geshe doubled.
That was a chita. Says to Geshe del Che. They can catch you down with the Mambuyungura. Yondem Mambuyungura. Joshua says, and Joshua Yondem Mambuyungura. Oh, did not Yonde yourself does a oh, yeah, that guy's over. No, Yondel, you give me Uncle no Sere. Could say you are this, you are this, Tisha. Yondel, do you Marco? Not in the Shachora. Dico, Keo Maro, Kaze, the you are Metebata, Yana, Tension your mother, Meto Rimetumberwa. Yana, tension to your Marcona Losicana. Now, the Yana, you are the tension your mother, Yana. Zeci Bayora, couldn't them do to say, Coaching, Yana your mother. Because Zeta de Sicera, Medon with the sales city to your mother. And then by your coachana. Then Damba de Chateau Marie Circular. Meto Temade, Medo di Zero, Temarin with the Yonderva. Diana de Temarin Bullian, Damba Temarin with Damba Shana, Yondela somebody do they say. Didn't matter. And then you made this your corner looks at all.
Oh,
they don't you know.
So then, this next paragraph has, if we just read the next paragraph, at the top of 279, how, it follows, could it be said that a properly arranged garland of 100 flowers is a long garland? It is unacceptable that it could, because there is no objectively separate whole. And even if there is alleged to be conjunction, or dependence, I don't know what, different translation maybe helps to get that idea. A second quality cannot be based on a quality. So they're saying in their system, when you have a substance, then you really can't talk about the quality of the substance, because they're two separate things. And so then two separate, what do you say, substantially separate things. And so then here the idea of garland, right, even if you think of it as a conjunction, then you've got already a long garland, which a long garland would be that's a quality of garland, its length, and then in addition to that, you're putting like this other quality that it's what do you say, a conjunction. So then that would so then you can't put a second quality on top of an existent quality.
Pumba chikse, pumba she, pumba chik ni sum shise, mi she, mi chik ni sum shise, tanga yora. Pumba ta, pumba ni she, pumba sum she, o tezul takba chen she dwa. Niba tela tembe tangso kabani tanga. Tanga ba nes dira. Shida rangi ngo nesikda, shida rangi ngo dan dukwe. Shida rangi ngo dan sheba tale tadebar. Changde lela sokba ye ngo lo la mena ngo sikda. O dire, tadi kar sikda sina. Changso tedan denbe pumba rangi ngo, pumba koran chera. Pumba she chwebe tada shuchen se. Kyole ze tadebe pumba changda denba. Lela sokba ngo mede. Tedar yona lo matuyo la nangko bale. Lo matuyo la menang veches. O tati ma lo shanti ki jotese.
So here we're talking about numbers. Numbers are, one person, two persons, three persons, or one pot, two pot, three pots. We're just talking about counting. It's just like counting things. So here the commentary reads that the last paragraph on 279 is that there are no essences such as the number, conjunction, action, etc. of the pot that exist as substantially different in their own nature from the pot that possesses that number, etc. And from the words that are the expression of the pot, because if such essences existed, they should appear to an unmistaken mind, but they do not appear to the unmistaken mind.
Tatade jugba, don't zetade do druba kagwanes. Tatade yona, don't zetade yogures, Rokosana. Tani lave unit zetade, Pumba Pumba Chambo, Pumba Chunju, Pumba Sebo, Nigi Pumba, Sangi Pumba Sesuna, Zeta de Redugara Cochina. Tagni la Vena Kanga Zeta de Redugare. Naranjana Kanani Labjana Zeta de Ingumare. Pumba Se, Pumba Susina, Pumba da Pumba Su Zechira. Pumba, Pumba Midaba, Pumba Ngobo, Pumba Dujesina. Zechigre. Dogbata derwa. Da Cosina, Pumba Lavsuna, Pumbara. Pumba Su Lavsuna, Zeta de Pumba da Pumba Su Zeta de. Tade Kanga Zeta de Shalu. Kaga in Zeta de. Pumba Su, Pumba Chimbo, Pumba Chunju, Sai Pumba, Zai Pumba, Wiki Pumba, Shake Pumba Lavsuna, Zeta de Dura. Or Deepa Kagadwa.
So then here we're talking about words now in their relationship to what they describe. So in the system here, the Vaisheshika, then they say that there's words like the form of a pot, okay, or a gold pot, or a silver pot, or a copper pot, or a good pot, a bad pot. All these describe two substantially different in their system. That substantially different. The form of the pot would be talking about two substantially different objects. You got the form and you got the pot. But in our system, then the pot and the form of the pot are not two different things. They're what do you say? Zechik and Dokpatade means that they're substantially the same but different for thought. Drisa.
Dangani Tandadi, Shologa Kujuko, some de Labdiora. Dandilpa Langa Yorda. Tashing Lobo Tade, Chandran Namdo, Tadun Sense. Tada, Togwe Sheba, Tade Tonga, some Jesura. Tan Kana Ni Labdiobada, Togwe already Pumbada, all the Pumba suit, and this side Pumbada, they toy Pumbadism. Togba Try Kavaka, some time you Labia Yoba take a cigar. Zeta de Yoguma Resigora, Zeta de Yoga Reslaura, Zeta de Yoguma Resigora, Tashing Lobo Tadebes, Tata de Badan, Dipumbare and Dimidabar and Dichabar, Shiva Tade Yonasigora, Chandran Namdo Tadun Sense. Tada Togbe Shiva Tade Tonga Zamge, Don Zeta de Yoba Mayimbartase. Zeta de Yoga Maresura, Tade, Zeta de Maresura, Ralu Mayimbarta. Pumbale Tunation, but Pumbechik Yo Maresura. Pumbale Zeta de Pumbechik says Yo Maresura. Nakane Pumba, Pumbachik do, Michik do, Mini do, Missum do Tindela Yorwa. There's a millet Tunation, but Michik says Yo Mara. Oh, this one. Pumbale Tunation, but Pumbechik Major, Pumba Chik, Mayimbe Mobile. Tadebe Shansi, Jesu Tana, Namdogi, Tabe. Pumbachi do need to call some or the Chigma Domidoa some Mambu Yoba the Saya to the Pumbachi do Sulabgiora. Kamay Sevecon, Trassetera. Mambu Yoba Paka to Nedua, Mambu Yoba Pakani, Chilavet and the Pumbele lost Chita Yomare. Diana Kokane of this. Dina Mika Zedos, or Miching Madomido, Michik Dosena. Nimambu about the Sevacon, Chiran, but the quiet on the Labio, but on Mida and Michik Zeta than the New Yoma Resego.
Me chick then me, because me did Zeta de Resego.
Mida, me Chixenada, that is any by Yankizer. Pumbata. Sai Pumbas and do that. Pumbata Sai Pumba, Sena, Pumbasi Lavedua, Sai Pumbasi Laudua, Kuna Pumba the Saina, Pumbata Sai Pumbani Labudua, Zeta de Mare, Pumbata Sai Pumbachi, the Chena, Cochena Canani loves and Nira Dora, the Pumbades and the Chidesa, the Sadaka or the Sadeshasana. Zeta de Resora. Dog by you to need to us. Canini love to a Zeta de Resora. Aralulia, dog by you to need to an Dobata de Tamai sere kone, Tim Aisha. Tamai sere kone, Dogbata desira. Dragage labdusan, Dogbata dere. Nilabusa.
So here then, we're going into number. It can just be, doesn't have to just be number, but there exists, the opponent says, there exists number, etc., that are objectively separate from the pot, because we see that there are words that for one pot, two pots, etc. So for them, words are describing substantially different objects. So, but that's not so for the Buddhist, as we just mentioned. Merely because we see that there are different words and cognitions, it does not follow that there exist substantially different objects. Because although there is no one of the pot that is objectively separate from the pot, the word or cognition of number has an object that is imputed by a conceptual cognition that follows on clearing away the idea of any other entity different from the entity that is the non-one pot. So here, this is, so if you have, instead of thinking of one, maybe it's easier to think of an earthen pot. So you have pot and earthen pot. They're the same substance, but different for thought in the Buddhist way. But in the Vaisheshika's way, these two things are substantially different, and so instead of saying that they're the same substance but different for thought, so then, but when you're talking about number, okay, like one pot is we arrive at the idea of one pot by eliminating that there are many pots there, and therefore you have one pot. So it's the non-one pot. You're eliminating all the non-one pots in order to understand one pot. That's what's being referred to here. It's what do you say? The Buddhist idea of apoa, they call it. Usually people refer to it as apoa.
Ta kete dene ta duna sta ko te ming de tang mi re se gora. Chi ni la so ba da te ming ta ne tang mi re se ra. Kete dene ta duna se dra.
Da min?
Tang mi, ming de tang mi se so ra.
Oh, de tang mi.
Kete dene ta duna se. Kete de ma on la tang ki tang ye so an dene tang mi don de do se na se gora. Wa te ming ta sha re, ngone ke ma de se gora. Kusen kange tende ba tene ngobo tamjela teda ke ji me se tene kera ming shanda kanga de tangmi re dugre se aris what the love sand
yeah. I didn't get a chance to read this one part. For example, although at the top of page 281, for example, although there is no second quality that is based on the quality blue, we see that we say one blue thing. And although there is no separate quality to pots that have been destroyed or have not yet arisen, we see that there are such designations for these pots as one, two, etc. So the opponent then comes up and says, in applying the designation of number to past and future objects, we assert that one applies an imputing name in this case. And there imputing names, and there's also objective names, but in this case, The opponent is saying that it's an imputing name.
Oh yeah. Kedi kula ming nyawar tak bale jugba minde se da ralu phala ge ra khol ka ba chi ra ko tende chu la ra ta de she so be che kedi kula nyarta me thade ke bar so she kedi kula ming tak bale jugba minde se ming tham je tang mi ma de chara ngui mi misi ba ta we kana te chana ngui mi me ba cha de se ngui mi tang mi ni yo ra kana je ta de ke bar ji chu so ye ba so she be ngui mi ta ke me be ming tang mi no she na ku chu la gu do kana je ta de ke bar ji chu so ye ba la so she de ngui mi de ming so se do ra tang mi de ming phe ba se go re chi na
Kachi did because Daming Re says then it did jail Kari.
Dami then Chang Ming Chang Matam Tang Mi Re do Gre se so.
No, oh did Loma so then the reply to that is, then why not assert that the imputing name, that is the conventional imputer of those past and present future entities, is the imputer to all entities? It follows that it is reasonable to so assert because through whatever reasoning it is shown that there does not exist a special quality that is objectively separate, and that term number as applied to past and future is asserted to be an imputing name. Through that, we also should assert that the lack of separate objectivity predicated on past and future number, etc., should be predicated equally of all entities. So then the opponent comes back and says, one does not apply an imputing name to all entities because then it follows that it is impossible that there be an objective name, that other kind of, you've got the objective name and you've got the imputing name. So thus, when one speaks principally of the existence of a particular substance, substantially different quality, that is the objective name. The name applied to what is not that is an imputing name. They kachi they then they lend it.
Oh, that the long to say. Oh, Janya Kangless, Keju Tunshe, let Ming Juba the Mimi race. They may be Ming the Tang Mi race, Chavandi, Kusan Kangle Jamatabarta, Kusan Mason to Chitaba Tawasan, but cannot Mimi Tang Mi to that. Cannot Ming Tawasan to tell you to say your Maresida.
Okay, then the Buddhist rejoinder for that is, for what reason is this statement made, i.e., that an objective name is the name applied to a particular substantially different quality, and that an imputing name is applied to what is not that? It follows that it cannot be accepted because this is merely imputed without any reason by the Vaisheshika.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that didn't do what you said. I never do not tata motion. To tell me that Tatambo, Tata de Tomato Tawapamba said to the door. Tadeva, Mela, Tate Tomenasa, Juje, Tata de Mebala, Tata de Java Tomedese, Jaria Namdan something do a church in Asco, Juje, Zeta de Mena. Ming Tade Chavala Tunda Yoma Resigda, Chula Budwa. The Tadeva, Mela Tade Termina Setera. Sawade. Tadeva City Tamade, Chani Kale Tadeva, Mela Tade Termina Setera. Tadeva, Mela, Churche, Zeta de Mebachelia, Pumbache, Sai Pumbache, and Shingi Pumbas, Midaba Pumbas, Tunda Lavala Tunda Yoma Resura. Searching Bato Yoma, the Zet Nilam, Zeta de Yokuresura. Zeta de Manini Level Tunda Yomarse. Churche, Zeta de Mebala, Tata de Chavato Mede, Charia, Namdan some to do a checo, Tunda Chiran love the Yormato Kaga Yomaresura. Churche, Shem Mebe, Tata de Ina, Namdan but do a church, Zeta de Mana. And Ming Jibber Pumba, Sai Pumba Solana, Ming Namda Resegora. Pumba Tele Loss or Sai Pumba Yoma Resegora.
The concert date Kachid, right? So then here, if you go to the bottom of page 282, you see the opponent here. There being no substantially different object that is to be expressed, applying different words is pointless, because even if they are applied, they will merely be redundant. If you talk about what do you say, a copper pot, an earthen pot, a silver pot, then it's all redundant, and different words for the same thing.
This one.
The Jason.
Yeah, I bet you. Church to Zeta Mebala, Tata de Joto, Mede Charia, Namda from the Jewish Shenazi to Kaju Sularwa, Tapala Gorda. Church to Shem Mebe, Tata de Yena, Namda but Jure Togma Rese. Churcha, Donation Zeta de Meba Yenaya, Mingi Namda be Togma Respona Pumba, Sai Pumba, Metagbe Pumba, Duce Pumba Sulamna. Church Zeta de Yomare de. To Ming the Ming Namda Marese, Ming Kaga Resegora. Church, Tonsen, maybe Tata de Yena, Namda but Jure Togamares, Ming Namda Marese, Ming Namda Sin Ming Kaga Chamato, Tondaching Madoman, and Ming Namda Segdo. Dawada, Sisi, and the Chicha Gachan says Mingudo.
So they're saying that it's, one one substance, they're not substantially different. So if the Buddhist rejoinder then is at the top of page 283, if there are different words for topics that are not objectively separate, then it follows that they necessarily are not redundant, because there also is no reason for positing a number that is objectively separate from a white object, for there are no number of words expressing one white object, two white objects, etc., or just you can, and the words for the number possessing white object, etc., are not redundant.
Yeah, don't do it, Damani. Donation, Kusan Chan Mayas, the Kuchu de Rasoloka. Donation, Kusan Chan Maya, Carla Soba, Transort, and Dembetan, and Namdam missing it. What they call Sigdos, Carbo, Carbo Sugar, Carbo Chick, do Carbo Nidos, and the Tangacha, what in the Reg Carbo, Kochingi Carbo, Sai Carbo, Sai Carbo, Labura. Carbo let Shambe Tangi to send me answer. Carbo chick, ni shake to be Trasso Getada, Tanted on them by Carbo la Soba, Namdamba Members. Namdamba Madese, take Kagarese, Carbo se, Sai Carbo se, Ming Chiba Mare, Ming Namdamba Mare, Carbo, Sai Carbo, Pichotandade. Sai Bacha and the carbo, Caricabura, Sai Carbo, Resero. Oh, Tendelam Nako, Meganamda Mare, Minkaga Resedo.
Because sai karbu dan sa.
Re karbu se re ngura.
No.
Pili karbu stongu yevache. O pili karbu duwa lapsuma. Ani karbu se meji. O de sa karbu re se. Lapsuna sai karbu ro. Ya karbu se beta dan sai karbu se beta ni de. Ningi namra ma re se. Kaga re se ore.
So then that when you're describing something as white, and then you also, if you see something in the distance as white, and then you say it's the white of the earth, then they say that that's two different things. They're not, what do you say, namdrang, mingi namdrang de dun jikpa?
Ore penan dawa sisi chen ga
Ore,
mingi namdrang.
ore,
Tanda chilia ming da sha yana ko ming kagala na chingba do yo maro.
ore.
Mingi namdara.
Yeah, so they're saying it's that they're, what do you say, synonymous. It's just like synonymous maybe that's what I know that word to mean, and talking about the same thing. For instance, if you call the moon, the rabbit holder, Tibetan expression or Indian expression is of the moon as being the rabbit holder. It's still talking about the same thing, and so then what do we call that? Synonym, I believe. And so they're saying that whether you call it white or earthen white, then it's still the same thing. So that white object also possesses an objectively separate oneness. That kachit dende labke
This one.
the kachit laba de drisong dene de kasa nambe that's a kare labke de.
Boya yonde da jene keba meba jurata. Yonde yibatembe setena trato thade don jugbe kyune. Zeta de nebar ko ba member thase. Tandisinda. Tadan tokba thade don june zeta de yengu marese. Kena trato thade don jugbe kyune. Zeta de nebar ko ba member thase.
Oh, so then the Buddhist rejoinder for this is it follows that there will be no distinction between substance and qualities because of the basing of some second substantially separate quality on the first quality.
This one. Not to shame me on dog by yewe tade pa in the lesson member trashing nose. Shen yoba me and dog but tade shago resora. Shen me and dog by yewe tade pa in this. Pena zese, zed chawacheba soba. O Tendeko zeti chawacheba losu mena ko Tanya lapso resora. Shen yoba me and dog by yewe tadeba some tata de jugu resora. Shen me and dog by yewe tade pa in this. Le ze mimbe trashing nose. Pena le la ze mimbada, ze la le mimbe keju tunshen meja, di le mi, di ze mi shebe tra shinose. Tatunda, dogba tade kone tranyi ju shogurese, dogba tade tranyi ju ne jimi ju ze tade ni yokumarese kudwa. Uti lamni dure.
For something that's different for thought, they don't have to be substantially different, is what a Buddhist comes back with here. So it says, therefore, because we apply different words to different cognitions, it follows that it is not necessarily ascertained that there are different substances. because even though there is not in existence an objective separate substance, there is an application of different words merely through an analytical differentiation of opposites. As, for example, although there is in action no objectively separate quality, non-substance, or in some sense, I guess this is later here. Oh, then it Beijik She or the Beijik somebody what? Then a Berna Sunga Dugada.
Mode Pena Lela Zemi Bada Chawachingeri Chiniko, Chawachingeri Zeshora, Digi Chawacheba, Serotinde, Di Chawacheba, and Di Chawacheba Maris, Mingja Giora, Keju Tunshem Meja, Keju Tunshem Menaya, Di Lemi, Se Lemi, Shebe Tashino, Tanju Giores, Zeta de Menaya, Trata de Jugiores, Tati, Dilam did.
As, for example, although there is in action no objectively separate quality, this is substantially, sometimes I use the word substantially different. Here, objectively separate quality, no non-substance, or in substance a quality called non-action. There are the phrases, this substance is not action, and action is not substance.
Una pombe tang si choba mete ban jude tele tension be tang me be shirshina ta sula gudwa pomba tang pombe chik silaba tonda me arta sura ine pomba le zeta de be pombe tang me be shirshina su sula gudwa pombe tang pombe kado pombe me da ba pombe sukse de la biora de ta chaje odi laba to me imbarta se Pumbe le zeta de be pumbe tangda pumbe me da boda pumbe su me be shirsena sugara ta tuta chave ko ba su tuta sine data del sigaba data pumbe se den data ra pumbe tang so
data
tuta chave ko ba ne ka se do sina ngobo chebe tanam ge tanso de dan dambale tade shin do tan ge chöshen kebar cheba istira ngobo cheba de chöchebe ta ngobo chebe tanam ne chöchö ge ta da chöchen chebe ta sini yora chöchebe ta da chöchen chebe ta si ngobo de chöchebe tanam ge su do ngobo chebe tanam ge tanso de dan dambale tanso de dan dambe pumba chi ni la so ba 타데바 신도 템바 강대야 쇼션에서 당소 대단 템바래 타데 신도 템 강대야서도 거바 요데스 pombe 케주 셴레 pombe 당케바도 고아르 제발라 사로 임베처 pom바서 pom바르 케주 망보요레 pombe 카도다 pombe 메다바다 pombe 쳔보다 총조이나 pombe 당스도자 pombe keju nane tanga de chibu chutto ya sedu labgi orese pombe tangase kaba yode pombe keju shen namle pombe tang kebar do ko arche bala charwa imbe chere cheju gete kebar shen pon arten bane stadi uste de tangma de la di ode yungdo ya ngobo chebe tanam de tangso de dan bala tade shin do ten ya chöshen kebar sheba yinse dera ngobo chöbe tasana ngobo chöbe ta chöchö gi ta dera segurese chöchöbe ta da chöchen chöbe ta sin yingudo ngobo de chöchöbe ta namki tanso de dan pumba ni la soba la yet segura pumba le zeta de pumba chig yo marese Yeah, the Yina Pumbali Keju Mambo Yabanana, Pumbe Tranga Kajandusi, Tihakoya Tundale, Pumbachi, Pumbani Tinda Labgio, Resigora.
That's right. That picture dudes it also, huh?
Maudilam Nani Shashan Tata.
So the opponent is saying, here on page 284, the opponent is saying, well then, it is unacceptable to use the expression the number of the pot because there is no number that is objectively separate from the pot. Then the Buddhist rejoinder to this is the purpose of applying the sixth, the genitive case here, means, well, I guess, of just using, just using the what do we call that? A possessive, it's talking like that. So the verbal expression for the predicate entity, which also seems to show that number, etc., are substantially different from the pot that possesses them, have a purpose, because they are applied in order to make us understand the distinction between the number of the pot and the other particular predicates of the pot. So it's the purpose of it has a purpose to say the number of the pots, to distinguish how many pots there are. So, well, start Drisa.
No, then did it.
So it looks like we've reached verse, 98. It has 99, yeah.